First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. And I want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. So today, I wanted to go into how, in this truth, right, in this path we're on, the straight gate, this is a very laborious thing we're doing, right? If you're out here prophesying day in and day out, right, playing the role, the lot of a prophet, it's very laborious, and with that it comes a part of discipline. And even if you're not a prophet, constantly being in the Word, in the truth, right, and learning, it brings discipline, right? And we have to be diligent. And one thing about this is that this entire truth, right, the road we're on, it's all about endurance, right? You have to find that pace, right? You have to find the groove for yourself. On you have to find that pace that you can endure in, right? Because this is not a sprint, right? This is a long distance, fight, right? A long distance battle, right? And if you come into this truth, right, and you just start sprinting, going full force, and attacking the scriptures, right, pumping out videos, and just doing your all, giving in your all, very quickly you're gonna realize that you're burnt out, right? Very quickly you're gonna realize that you went too fast, right? You sprinted. But on the opposite side of that, you can't be in this truth and be a sluggard, right? Just kicking your feet back and not being diligent, right? Not attending and trying to learn something new, right? Being on the same state that you were a couple months ago, right? That's why you have to find your own pace. It's the same as running. If you look at long distance runners, they don't sprint the entire race, right? They find that pace, right? Their own groove that is comfortable to themselves, right? And they pace themselves so they can make it to the finish line on time and make it to the finish line without gassing themselves out. Okay, so it's the same thing here on this path we're in, right? We have to pace ourselves, right? Find the balance that you can go through, right? Find your balance, right? How much can you read, right? How much can you watch videos, right? If you make videos, how many videos can you put out a week, right? And it's not ultimately about if you can put out a ton of videos a week, but if you're being diligent, right? If the videos you're making are edifying and you're providing value, okay? If you're in the right intention. But the main point I wanted to make is that we have to be diligent, and with being diligent, that requires discipline. And with discipline, that requires finding your little niche, right? Finding your spot, the area where you excel, right? Not doing too much and not doing too little, right in the middle, perfect, right? And one thing about this is once you find that spot, you'll realize that everything gets easier, right? Once you find your little pace, your groove, you realize that everything gets way easier, right? You find that complete balance. But let's get to the scriptures to go into this. This is 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 14. It says, "Wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless," right? Being diligent. And let's look into that word and get the definition. It says, to hasten, make haste, to exert oneself, endeavor, give diligence. And this is, the root word of diligent. It says haste with haste, diligence, earnest in accomplishing, promoting or striving after anything, right? Because we're constantly striving to be better, right? We're constantly striving to be like Yahweh Shai, right? Righteous. To give all diligence, interest oneself most earnestly. Let me see if I can get this in Google now. It says having or showing care and conscientiousness in one's work or duties. Let me get the online etymology. It says constant in effort to accomplish what is undertaken, right? Beautiful. That goes into discipline, right? Consistently putting out effort to accomplish what you've taken over, right? The task that you've put in your mind to, right? Because just like everything, if you want to accomplish something, you have to be consistent, right? They push that a lot in this world, even for worldly things. There's people that like the millionaire talk, right? You want to be rich, then you have to be disciplined, right? You have to be constantly putting your mind towards whatever you're seeking, right? And it's the same thing for the truth. It all goes back to the scriptures, right? You have to constantly be meditating on the word day in and day out. And that made me think of a scripture. Let me get that real quick. Meditate night. Meditate night. Yep. This is Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, and it says, "This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success." Right? And that goes into being diligent, being disciplined, is constantly meditating on the word day in and day out. And that goes to anything you put your mind to, right? We can accomplish anything we put our minds to, right? With the power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Okay? So it's the same thing with this word, right? We have to be disciplined. You have to find that spot where you're being prosperous, right? Where you're not wearing yourself out, right? That pace where you can run that long distance race. Because this truth is about enduring to the end, right? It's about endurance. So you can't gas out in the beginning, right? You can't go too slow either, or you'll never make it. So you have to find that groove, right? The pace, the golden pace to make it. And that requires discipline, right? Consistently, diligently seeking the righteous things, right? Going into the righteous paths. And then we're going to be prosperous, as it says. But let's read this again. It says, "Wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless." Right? We have to be diligent. That's a key part of this. If we go to Proverbs chapter 13 verse 4, it says, "The soul of the sluggard desireth, and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat." Right? Because even in a carnal aspect, right, if you're not putting in the work to get what you want, you're never going to reach it. Right? The soul of the sluggard desireth and had nothing. Right? Let's get that word, sluggard. Let's get it in the etymology. Sluggard. It says, habitually lazy person, one afflicted with the sin of sloth. Right? So a lazy person. And a thing about that is, if you're lazy, you're never going to get your ass up and do the work. Right? That's what lazy goes into. Let's see if we can get deeper into that. Lazy. Averse to labor, action, or effort. Right? Averse to labor, action, or effort is what lazy means. So you're never going to, if you're a sluggard, you're never going to put the work, you're never going to put the action, the effort to reach what you desire. That's why it says he has nothing. But the soul of the diligent, right, shall be made fat, because the diligent is going to put the work in, right? The diligent person, the diligent man, is going to do whatever it takes to reach what he's put his mind onto. And that's the spirit we have to be in, right? We have to be diligently seeking the Lord day in and day out, right? Constantly meditating on the word, and then we shall be prosperous, right? This is a key ingredient that you have to establish on this walk, is finding that discipline, right? Because through discipline you build confidence. Because once you see all those little wins, like you start winning every single day, right? It all starts with the little wins, right? You tell yourself you're going to do something and you do it. That builds confidence in yourself because you actually accomplished what you said. Okay? And one thing about discipline, let's say you start going to the gym and you go the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, right? You're making slow little steps forward, right? Every single day you go, you go a step forward. But the thing about discipline is, let's say the fifth day you don't go. That fifth day you took back 5 steps from all the steps that you just took, right? Because your mentality is going to be affected, right? You broke the pace, the discipline. Okay? So that's something to keep in mind, that if you're going to set your mind on something, make sure you can actually achieve it. And make sure not to break what you said, right? Make sure you keep putting action towards your goals, right? Consistently doing what you told yourself you're going to do. Because that's the worst thing you want to do is have a goal, right? You say you're going to go every day, and then you go for, let's say, a month, and then you start missing days. And then you're back to square one, right? You're back to square one very quickly, right? Because the flesh gets very complacent very quickly, right? The flesh doesn't want to do the work, but the spirit is the one that's willing, right? The spirit is the one that quickens you to do it. So that's part of also overcoming yourself, right? Building that warrior mentality to do it no matter what, right? And that's the mentality that we have to be in to endure these days that are to come, right? But the main point is diligence, right? Being disciplined. That's a key virtue of a man, right? A lord, or a man, the elect man. That's a key feature. But let's get this in Proverbs. This is Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 27. It says, "He that diligently seeketh good procureth favor, but he that seeketh mischief, it shall come unto him." Right? So you have to diligently seek good. Diligently seek what's righteous. Right? We don't want to be, because there's a difference between being disciplined for the right things and for the wrong. Right? You could be a super disciplined drug dealer, right? You're getting your shit done, but that's not righteousness, right? We have to be concerned with what's righteous in the eyes of the Lord, okay? But back to the point that it doesn't matter if you're diligent being wicked, right? That doesn't matter. You want to be diligent being righteous. That's what ultimately matters, because all the things of the world are going to pass away. But those that have faith are ultimately going to be saved. Okay? Let's get this in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, and it says, "And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." Right? Let's get that word weary. Weary. It says to become, or to be or become tired, to exhaust, to make tired. Right? So pretty much being exhausted, getting tired. And I wanted to bring that up because how I said about the pace, right? Disciplined. You have to find your own pace. You can't tire yourself out, right? Let us not be weary in well doing. That happens. What it's pretty much saying is, don't overdo it, right? Don't be over righteous. Don't over exhaust yourself in well doing, right? Because hey, sometimes the spirit comes upon us that we just want to keep doing the work. We just want to watch a ton of videos, but that's gonna make us gas out, right? We're gonna get or spiritually gassed out because there's a balance. But it says, "For in due season we shall reap if we faint not." Right? We don't want to faint in the race. We don't want to lose the gas, right? We don't want to just get left behind. So that's why I've been harping on the point that you have to find your own pace, right? You have to find what works for you. Because I myself, I might make videos every single day, do some reading or writing every single day, but for someone, hey, that might gas them out instantly, right? They might not have the spirit to do that, right? They might read every other day or even once a week. Who knows what the spirit? You see, it's different for everyone, right? What works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. So you have to find what works for you, right? And just do that, right? And ultimately make sure you're learning, right? You're constantly growing, because the only way to go in this truth is up, right? There's only one way, and it's to grow, right? You can't be lukewarm, because scriptures talk about how if you're lukewarm, he's going to spit you out of his mouth. Okay, so we have to constantly grow. So whatever you can do to do that, just do it. And make sure that you're not wearing yourself out is the main point. But this is James chapter 5 and verse 5. It says, "Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter." Right? And I wanted to bring this out because this is talking about how we originally used to live. Right? We lived in pleasure, being wanton, nourished our hearts as in a day of slaughter. And the reason I want to bring this out is the word wanton, right? Let's see what it means. To live luxuriously, lead a voluptuous life. And let me get this in the etymology. Yeah, that's not the word. Oh, with an A. Wanton, right here. Wanton, resistant to control. Wanting, lacking, deficient. Right? Wanton, to revel, frolic unrestrainedly. But the reason I brought this out because it also means undisciplined, right? If you're being wanton, it goes into being undisciplined, right? You're just doing whatever you want to do, and that's the spirit that we're getting ourselves out of, right? We're learning to be disciplined, right? Because it's the thing about learning. You don't just one day become disciplined. Nah, it's a trial, right? You might get it right a couple days and you might mess up, right? But the next time you go through it, you get it longer. Let's say you mess up again. But then you keep going, you get it longer and longer, and it's the same thing. Eventually, it comes to a point where you've built up your mind so much where you're actually disciplined. You keep doing whatever you told yourself you're going to do. But you're not going to get it instantly on the first day. Okay? That's why it says that a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked fall into mischief. Right? A just man is going to keep trying and keep trying to get better. Right? No matter what, if he fails. Right? Let's say you commit a sin that you told yourself you're not going to do. You're still going to get back up and try to do better. But the wicked, hey, they're going to fall into that sin and say, fuck it, I'm going to keep sinning. They're not going to try to get on the right path, right? But, yeah, I just wanted to bring out a couple scriptures going into how, hey, the elect, we're being fashioned right now to be like Yahushai. And Yahushai was the most diligent man, right? The most perfect man, most disciplined man that there was on the face of the earth, right? He was perfect, pretty much. So one of the key features is being diligent, being disciplined. And that's something you have to work on yourself, right? You have to work on being disciplined and keep that in the back of your mind that we have to be diligent, constantly being in the word day in and day out to be prosperous as the scriptures talk about. But that's all I had. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and I want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the elect. Shalom.